Hey everyone, I am the Chosen One Legend here, as always with my co-host.
Hi, I'm Kai, also known as Fascurreyn.
And welcome to our podcast, BunchaJokahs, where we talk all things Nintendo from the past month, which is basically Hyrule Warriors this month.
It's so
Pretty
good.
much. It's really, really good, man. It's overtaken our podcast for the last 2 months, really, and it's going to do it again. Probably
Yep.
next month as well, because Kai and I are both not finished.
For a brief period of time, it has become our Xenoblade.
And there's a Xenoblade mention of the stream podcast, so glad we got that out of the way as well.
You'll love to see it.
But we will of course be talking about that at the end of the recording. Spoiler free, I should mention, so if you haven't played the game yet, or you're only a little way into the game, we'll be talking more general stuff and things we saw in early trailers, no story spoilers or anything.
Yeah.
So you are perfectly safe there. But that is not all we've got to talk about, because there have been some various other bits of news throughout the month, and there's been other stuff we've been playing, so plenty of stuff here for you. And if you do want to skip through, there will be timestamps in the description below as always.
Yep.
But Kai, if you're ready, shall we get on with our first segment?
Let's go for it.
First segment of the podcast is Can't Have a Podcast Without News, Baby, which is where we talk about the various bits of news and announcements over the past month. And we're going to start things off with not Nintendo news, but some pretty big other console news, because the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X have both launched this month. And whilst Kai and I have not got them, I think this is big enough news worth talking about.
Yeah, it's the next generation of consoles, so it's definitely
Right.
worth mentioning to an extent.
Yeah, and they seem to have gone down pretty well. People seem pretty happy with their consoles if they were able to get them and didn't have to pay $2,000 and a kidney from a scalper. But
Yeah, I've heard that there's been some issues, but overall, for those
Yeah.
who do have it, I've heard a lot more about the PS5 personally. But
Same,
overall, people
yeah.
seem pretty satisfied when they do get the console, so that's always good to see.
yeah, they do. I've seen really positive responses from the two people we know who have got one,
Yeah.
and various other reviews I've watched online, etc. The Series X, it seems pretty much what you expected. I guess it's really just a new place to play Game Pass. There's not much.
Yeah, yeah.
There's not as much next gen about it, other than higher speeds and that. But
I'm still
and,
holding out for the
better
Xbox
visuals.
720, personally. So,
You never know, Kai. You never know. They could surprise us. But the PS5 has really got a lot of positive stuff about. I'd say most of it about the controller, the DualSense, which
yes.
people
yeah.
have been raving about the haptic feedback and the HD rumble, which is basically what it is. Even the same company making it. So
Yeah, I've heard a lot of positive feedback on those controllers, feeling sort of ergonomically just sound.
yeah,
And on top of that, of course, the games alongside it, the main one being Spider-Man, the Miles Morales story.
right, yeah.
Seems overall pretty solid from what I've seen of it. Gameplay seems smooth. The graphics seem really clean, which is kind of what you'd expect. So it's good to see that the consoles have kicked off to a good start.
Yeah, and load times in particular are apparently, lightning fast.
Yeah.
Maybe I would miss things like controlling Eggy in the Age of Calamity load screen, but still nice to see. So
Yeah.
it looks impressive. Have you have like reviews or what people have said affected your opinions on it? Do you think you're more or less likely to pick one up sometime?
My kind of opinion on it's the same as what I thought it was going to be. It seems very good, but as someone who doesn't play many PS5 games, I'm going to hold off for now until something big like the next Elder Scrolls game, for example, comes along. So I may get it in the future, but for now it just seems pretty solid.
Yeah, I'll admit I'm tempted. It's my birthday's in April, and I'm kind of tempted to sort of maybe edge my family towards a PS5 if it's back in stock then.
Also, hint to any viewers out there, if you're, you need to spend some cash around February, or
well, you're
like that.
yeah. Donate to our Patreon, which we don't have, but one day maybe. But but yeah, I'm thinking maybe I might try, especially if Ratchet and Clank is out then, which looks really good. I might try and get hold of one, especially because it will be my first PlayStation console since the PS2, and there's a lot of PS4 games that are really cheap now that I could buy to play on it, as it's backwards compatible.
Yeah,
So,
the PS4 library is honestly, because I have a PS4, the library is pretty solid. I won't lie, like it's very good. You can also play Ni no Kuni remastered on there. So just saying.
There we go. So, but you can't play Xenoblade on there. So
that is the downside.
Always a downside. But yeah, maybe I'll definitely something to keep a watch on if it ever comes in stock. So I'm not getting up at like 2 a.m. to check the stock for it. I'm not that desperate.
Fair enough.
But moving on to Nintendo news, Animal Crossing. There's always Animal Crossing news, and they showed off some of the new updates. Turkey Day, which has been and gone, and I'll admit I didn't play it.
No, me neither.
So we're just going to skip over that. I'm sure it was fine. We don't even have Thanksgiving in the UK, so...
Yeah.
But Toy Day is the next one coming up, and the build-up towards Christmas has started. And that's actually got me back into Animal Crossing. Since December, I've been playing it every day for about 20 minutes or so not long, but I love Christmas, so this has got me into it again. I don't know about you. Are you tempted to go back in at all?
Yeah, well, the update looked interesting, with all the little bits that it adds as normal. I haven't started replaying it yet, but I am definitely giving it a strong consideration to look back into it. Because the update seemed interesting. I'm not sure on my exact views on it yet, but it seemed a little less filling than the New Leaf Christmas event, but I could be wrong on that. So,
what was the New Leaf Christmas event? I don't exactly remember.
I believe you were able to roll around. I could be wrong on this because I haven't played New Leaf in a lot of time.
Wasn't it?
Snowmen, yeah, you could create snowmen, and apparently there was a really long drawn out system you had with those things, but it was still fun. Looking at the new trailer, I do believe there was a snowman in there that looked very similar, but they didn't show anything of rolling snowballs around, so we'll see.
I know the main event is giving toys to your villagers, handing them out as Santa's little helper.
That looks nice.
And there's been some toys in stock. People in our Discord are trading them all, and in general, I think what's made me want to play it is I just love the build up towards Christmas, and with everyone sort of locked down to an extent now around the world, it's kind of the best way to be able to build up to Christmassy because you can't go out for real. So you're running around your village. When I went on December 1st, it was snowing, and there were little jingle bells playing along with the main music in the background, and it was a nice feeling. So. I think, especially if you meet up with friends on it, it's a good way to get that build up towards Christmas, even if you're not that interested in Toy Day itself.
Yeah, it definitely seems like they've added, Animal Crossing New Horizons has once again added a bunch of new features for this seasonal event, and overall it seems very solid. Yeah, very good.
Yeah. Oh, and I should mention they added a few extra emotes or reactions. I think they are you can sit down now.
I completely forgot about those. They look so good. They're very dynamic, I've noticed.
They are, yeah. The other day when I was on our friend Sophie's island, she just sat down and blocked the path so I couldn't get past. So you can be a jerk with it, but it's also hilarious.
Great.
So it's got that Animal Crossing charm for sure. And of course they didn't show much, but they said there'll be a New Year's countdown, and that I might host something for that. That could be fun. And next year they teased in January Festival, I believe, if I'm saying that right. Which I know Sophie's really excited about that, but party time, right? So
I'm always down for a party. Yeah, let's do it.
Exactly. A nice safe Animal Crossing party because we're not going to real ones at the moment. So. But let's move on to our next piece of news, which is Pokemon. Not really much, but. It's the 25th anniversary next year, and they teased a boring logo of Pikachu, which...
yeah, a little odd.
It looks nice still, but the more interesting thing about this is, what do you think they could have for the 25th? Do you think we'll get Sinnoh remakes? Is it just Pokemon Snap? What do you expect?
That is the thing to speculate, and I feel like in the future we'll be talking about whatever they reveal. Sinnoh remakes are definitely possible because people have been calling for them, and it would make sense chronologically with how they've made games. On top of that, of course, Pokemon Snap 2 is a thing. I feel like they'll do something big. I don't know what yet, but they'll do something. So I'm looking forward to it.
Right, yeah.
I do still appreciate Pokemon as much as we don't talk about it too much on the podcast.
Yeah, and whilst I'm not the biggest Pokemon fan, Sinnoh was my first region. So
Cool.
there's a little bit of... I mean, I didn't play it till I was like 14 or something, but there's a bit of nostalgia there. So it could draw me in potentially if there's not much else out at the time, particularly. So that would definitely have my interest at least.
Yeah, I'd be down for that too.
And of course, they could always just skip right ahead and do Let's Go Trubbish, which I would buy day one. So, and Let's Go Bidoof.
No, that was banned. I'm pretty sure it's too strong.
That's
Let's
true. Yeah,
Can you imagine?
We're going to be demonetized now, aren't we, for mentioning it? Not that we make money anyway, but but it'll be interesting to see how that plays out anyway, and maybe we'll even get our editor Samm on to talk about whatever happens, because he knows much more than we do about Pokemon, I think.
Looking forward to the news though, definitely.
But one thing coming up later this month is Game Awards, and they showed off the nominees. We're not going to run down all of the Game Awards nominees because we would be here in eternity. But let's go over the Game of the Year itself. And the nominees for that were Ghost of Tsushima, The Last of Us 2, Hades, Final Fantasy VII Remake.
I love Final
Fantasy. Game of the Year, truly. Animal Crossing and Doom Eternal. So I don't know about you, but I've only played Animal Crossing there. So
yeah, I believe I've only played Animal Crossing there too. But honestly, from what I've seen of the other games, it's a very strong lineup though.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, Final Fantasy VII Remake, I did watch Samm play through it, and it looked really good. If I had a PlayStation console, I probably would get it. So
that looks very clean.
A lot of strong stuff here. I've heard people raving about Hades, for example, and Ghost of Tsushima the same. So you can't argue with the strength of this year's contestants, and it could
will
go
be
either
a
way,
close
really.
one. Yeah, and I think no matter who wins there, I feel like, of course there's always going to be people outraged, like, how did this one not win? But all of them are very good options, so whoever wins, I feel like people will be like, yeah, that's a good game.
And when it comes to Animal Crossing, when you look at it as like technical, and it's far from the most perfect game on this list. But if you look about it and the impact on gaming this year and how many people were playing it, I think it's a valid contender as well. So it kind of depends on their outlook on it. Personally, I don't think it's going to win just because it's not the right crowd for it. But
but Animal Crossing has excelled this year in kind of branching out from just the gaming audience, and it's one of the games I think that's performed best in recent years at expanding out to the general public as well, including those who don't necessarily play video games often, whereas
absolutely
a lot of other games, a lot of other Game of the Years and all the nominees here, like, they're ones that people who already play games would prefer probably, but I do appreciate the reach that Animal Crossing's had. So
yeah, I mean, straight up, both my sisters have either got a Switch or have asked for a Switch for Christmas because of Animal Crossing. So it has that effect on people.
It does.
One of my friends I hadn't spoken to for a while, from sixth form, messaged me about Animal Crossing because his girlfriend wanted the Switch.
That's crazy.
So it's got that reach. It's really cool.
It's great.
We won't go over most of the other stuff, but I do want to mention Xenoblade being robbed, which is nothing new. But
to be fair, it is a definitive edition, so it's fine.
I wouldn't say Game of the Year. I think that's fair, but if Persona 5 The Royal can get into the RPG category, so can Xenoblade.
It should, yeah.
Or at least soundtrack, because it's remastered soundtrack,
Yeah.
That should have been there. But the Future Connected battle theme alone is worthy of soundtrack of the year, to be honest.
It's fine. They can't handle the Juju. That's
they can't handle him. The Juju on this is too powerful. We're used to it anyway.
Yeah.
But a final piece of news for this month is Super Nintendo World News, because it's opening now in February 4th, 2021, and they showed off some images of it. Yep. And of course, we're not going to be able to go there. Even if we weren't in the pandemic, we wouldn't make it to Japan probably. But still, it looks really cool. I really
Seems
want
hype,
to go
yeah.
one day. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like something like I will aspire to go there one day because it looks crazy good.
Exactly. They showed off mostly stuff we already know, but like the Mario Kart ride has these, I think it's goggles you wear,
Yeah.
and it's a sort of a mixture of, I guess, VR stuff. You have some control, but not full control over it because it follows the track. It seems really intriguing, and I mean, who doesn't want to do Mario Kart in real life to some extent? So.
Yeah, it seems really hype, I won't lie. I do think it looks very small, like compared to what we've seen around it, because I believe you can see Harry Potter World nearby it. It looks tiny, but at the same time it looks hype, so I'm still cool with it.
Yeah, I really hope that they get to the stage eventually where they can branch out to like a Zelda.
It would be very cool because so far it seems it's basically it's a Mario world. It's not a Nintendo one.
Yeah, there's a bit on Donkey Kong. I don't know if that's in just the Japan one or maybe it's just the Orlando one, but there is a Donkey Kong one coming at least.
It would be cool though, if they branched out and they had Zelda and all the different Nintendo series would all get their own like branches from this. I suppose we'll have to see the success of it. I do believe the success would propel this to be expanded though.
Yeah, and although of course I think I was right, it's just the Orlando one this is coming, but the Donkey Kong one I think is based on the minecart level, which is a perfect fit for a roller coaster.
Oh, it's
if you
great.
Play any Donkey Kong.
Such a good concept.
And I believe there's some stuff where it's going to make it look like you go off the track. Obviously, you won't actually. But apparently, there's going to be some technology where it feels like.
No. For effect, they actually throw you off the track.
Let's sue Nintendo. Yes.
Oh, great.
I mean, Nintendo do a lot of suing of their own. It's only fair. So comes full circle, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
But I believe, unless they surprise us with a last-minute Twitter announcement like they tend to do, that's all the news we've got for this month.
Yep.
So let's move on to our next segment of the podcast, and our final segment, actually. Games time, baby. Which is where we talk about the games we've been playing, and we will get to Hyrule Warriors, believe me, but before then, is there anything else you've been playing, Kai?
Yes, I do have one game I've been playing a fair bit, and
go for it.
A game, but I've been looking at the series as a whole as well, and it's been really good. So I've been looking at the Rhythm Heaven series. Now, particularly I've been playing Rhythm Paradise on the DS. But I've been looking at the other games. I've played. Yeah, I've been looking at the other games in the series, such as Rhythm Heaven Fever that was on the Wii, and Gold that was on the 3DS, I believe, and all that. And man, it is such a good series because I haven't played Rhythm Paradise. I should say it's Rhythm Paradise in EU, whereas the American version is just called Rhythm Heaven.
Despite that, I still call it Rhythm Heaven.
But I played it a lot. I played it a bit when I was younger, and I was okay at it, but I didn't play it too much. But I've just been replaying it recently and went through and like completed all the levels, and it is like a crazy like smart series in what it does. It's really fun as well. I think the stages are all like really good in how all of them. It's so quick to like pick all of them up. Whereas other rhythm games,
very intuitive.
Yeah, all the other rhythm games out there will have like one system of how they do the rhythm, and they'll stick with that through the entire game. Whereas this has like I think it's 24 different like rhythms basically, and it's crazy how good some of the music is that goes alongside it as well. Some of the notable ones are.
Oh
yeah, go on.
Oh, go for it.
Oh, I was going to say some of the notable ones for me are like Lockstep. I really like Remix 3 from the Wii version, as well as Hole in One, and any song with Karate Joe in is amazing.
Yeah.
So it's the music is crazy.
I guess they're it's really good, I suppose. Thank you. I'm glad you went for it. I've been listening to the I think I mentioned this to you outside of the podcast a few weeks ago, but Family Jewels, and he did like a cover of it live with Adriana singing. Yeah. And that was the fan club song, and that was really cool. There's so much bopping music in it. It's a really great series, and I do
so
need to
good.
yeah, maybe try out like one of the other ones if I see it in CX or something one day. Or they could just bring it to the Switch, you know? That works.
Yeah, I mean, it's always... I was very tempted, actually. If we were to do 4 picks for the remaster talk we had the other time, I was going to choose Rhythm Heaven for it, because the most recent game was Gold on the 3DS in 2016 or 15, I believe. But it's such a good series, and I feel like there's a lot they could do with it, so I hope they make another game at some point.
Yeah, I'd be full on board with that. As for myself this past month, I started things off with one word, honk, because I was playing Untitled Goose Game. Oh shit, he's back. He's back. That gives me nightmare fuel now after playing the game. But really, you know this game. You annoy people as a goose, and it's damn fun. Because
I've seen a lot of fun stuff with that. Yeah.
Yeah, our friend Be More Duck was streaming it on Twitch, so you must have seen most of it through that, and it is just fun, you know. There's the core part of the game is you're trying to complete certain objectives as a goose, most of which involve around stealing stuff or scaring someone. And you know the puzzles themselves they're quite fun and they're very creative. Even watching our friend Tom stream, there were quite a few moments where I was like, wait, you can do it this way? So there's really there's an interesting design to it. Although, honestly, I wouldn't say they're the best part of the game. I think they do start to get a bit repetitive, but what keeps it going is it's just fun to honk and scare someone. It's just fun to running with your arms raised up or your wings raised up and start flapping. Even though it does nothing, it just feels good to be a goose. So
I feel like that's one of the main appeals, right? It's just one of the appeals. Yeah. It's not like intense, it's not deep, it's just a very relaxing...
No.
Sort of, is cathartic the right word? Which is just annoy people with a goose day in, day out. You know,
it is.
Go back. I want to be Goose.
Yeah.
You know,
it's the way the music like changes as you do something. Like you start sneaking up, and the piano just increases in a mischievous way. Like this guy's gonna do some crazy stuff now.
Yeah, so I've been reading a lot about how music changes in games depending on the situation, so I can kind of appreciate that sort of thing a lot more nowadays.
Yeah, it's really cleverly done, and you know I had good fun with it. I don't think it, you know, it was talked about a lot, and I don't think it blew me away as much as it did some other people. I think maybe it did start to repeat a bit at the end, and it's £17, which isn't that bad, but when I compare it to something like Celeste, which was the same price, I'm not sure it's as worth what you're paying, because it's quite short, and it does start to repeat. But that's just me being negative. It is really fun, and it's definitely
How would you compare it to a short hike? Because you've played that too.
That's the thing.
Right? Is it a comparable thing? Or?
It's hard because then the games themselves are nothing alike, really. A short hike is sort of an explorative platformer, and it's got a lot of soul to it, whereas Untitled Goose Game is just annoying people as a goose. But,
fair enough.
The thing is, a short hike was £6. It was, you know, under half the price, and it lasted me about the same amount of time, and I enjoyed it a lot more. Which is one of them things where you know, again, it makes the price seem a bit high, maybe. But I don't know anything about game design. There's obviously a lot of physics stuff going into Untitled Goose Game. Even if it was a bit jank at times, to be honest, it's not the most polished game, I will say. But you know,
you do get to play as a goose.
It's still
though.
Fun.
That's probably where it came
you can't. Well, I mean, you get to play as like a bird in a short hike though, so it's close. It's
yeah, they run a good competition.
Sadly, you can't. If they make an Untitled Goose Game sequel where you can glide around an island like you can in the short hike and annoy people on an island,
Untitled Goose Hike.
I will pay. The crossover no one wanted, but we're all by. So it is good fun though. So yeah, good. Definitely. If you're not sure, go look it up on YouTube, and you understand what it is within like 5 seconds of watching it. So it's good times. But is there anything else you've been playing, Kai?
No, that's pretty much it, apart from the big one.
Yeah, well, I will say, leading up to Hyrule Warriors, I did start playing some Breath of the Wild. You know, I don't want to go too much into it because it's always. Everyone knows Breath of the Wild. It's been talked about loads. You've talked about it here before, I believe.
Yeah.
So it's about as fun as it always is. And once again, every time you play it, you're going to do something new. You're going to find somewhere new. But what it made me appreciate was Age of Calamity more and how it combines. So let's go straight into Age of Calamity. What do you think of what you've played?
So this, as I said before, was my very first Warriors game. So I was going into it and I was thinking, I wonder what it's going to be like. And oh man, it's so good.
It's really, really good.
It's crazy good. Yeah, it's one of those games where the more you go through it, it's just it's a very strange one because I wouldn't say I go through it and I get more and more like thinking this is a masterpiece, but I go through it and every single fight I'm like, this is getting cooler and cooler every time. Like the best way I can put the game is it just gets really cool the more you go through it.
It does, and part of that is of course things like upgrading your characters, so they have new crazy moves by the end of it. There's things like, of course, the story escalating and that, which we won't go into, but in general, it just never doesn't feel great to plow through hundreds of enemies. The moment I booted up the demo, which both of us caved for, I should mention.
Yes.
So both of us caved like immediately, but the moment I booted it up, and I sort of started running, and some people had mentioned the frame rate, and I was like, oh yeah, that is a bit slow there, but then I pressed X, and Link started into a shield surf, ploughing through enemies, and I didn't notice the frame rate once after that because I was just laughing hysterically playing this. It's so great. All of the moves feel fantastic.
The whole
and the
thing,
different characters as well. Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, I mean, and we won't go. We're only sticking to, of course, stuff seen in the early trailers. So we're talking about Link, Impa, and the champions, and they all play in completely unique ways, which is really fun.
Yes.
When you compare it to like Fire Emblem Warriors, where everyone plays the same, there is more unique variety in Zelda's moveset alone than the entire cast of Fire Emblem Warriors, I think.
That's crazy.
It's really fun. Yeah. It's so good. Who's your favourite that you've played?
Now that would be really tough. I tried thinking about that before the podcast because I felt like you'd answer, and I narrowed it down to about 7 characters. It's very difficult. Out of the 7 that we can mention, I will say Impa's the fan favourite. I feel like everyone loves Impa.
Yeah.
But I also have very much so liked Link's traditional moveset because, of course, as you go more through the game, he unlocks like some very cool combos that just kill everything. And Mipha.
Yeah.
Mipha's been crazy good compared to what I thought she'd be.
I am right there with you. She's my favourite to play as, I think. She is so fun.
Yeah, they're all. I mean, even Urbosa. Urbosa's been one of my favourites to play as well. And Daruk, I said, would be my favourite. He's not necessarily my favourite, but he has. Basically, I find it strange how Daruk and Zelda are two of the most they have two of the most similar playstyles in the game. I think that says something about how unique everyone is. That Zelda and Daruk have a unique a similar moveset.
Yeah. Entirely, yeah. And Daruk is one of those weird ones where I didn't expect to like him as much being a slower character, but he's really grown on me. And I don't know, I just love his moves feel like they have heft to them, which feels really great.
Yeah, they are so fun. And Rivali as well has been a lot of fun with his gameplay.
I find he's great for crowds, but he can be really difficult one-on-one with
he can't do captains.
Yeah, he's more imprecise, raining down arrows everywhere, and I have this unlucky habit of picking him for these side missions, which are boss rushes, by accident. Every time I pick him, I'm like, oh, he's Rivali now. Oh crap, it's a boss rush,
Whenever there's a boss, I'm always like, it's Urbosa all the way for bosses. She's so good. Oh yeah,
she's good.
Yeah, Rivali's good though. I feel like we've talked to him somewhere before. I don't know. I've got like deja vu from his voice. Yeah. I don't know why.
It does sound like, I play the game and I'm like, flashbacks to something, but
Where have we heard that voice before?
Check out the rest of our videos. Sorry, I got a bit of cough there, but.
Oh man.
And I guess whilst I'm mentioning that, the voice actors do a fantastic job, I thought. I've really enjoyed the vocal performances.
Oh, it is crazy. Like the story is great. It is really, really good, and I thought it was, I thought, there's not going to be too much story because, of course, Breath of the Wild didn't have that much. But yeah, this game has it's a damn good story, and there's a lot of cutscenes, a lot of voice acting. It's really good, really well done. It
is good, and the thing is, of course, it's in set in an era where we know a lot about the gist of what happens. Of course,
Yeah.
It's something we've seen before. I mean, the flashbacks from Breath of the Wild were set in that time period. So we know the gist of things, but what really sells it in particular are getting to experience these characters more that we saw a bit of in Breath of the Wild, but it really allows their personality to shine through more than ever before, and that is backed up by the voice actors being able to flex their vocal muscles a bit more than they could. And it all combines together to create something really just interesting, It's just
also,
every time there's a cutscene...
Can I talk about the music real quick?
Cause I was going to get there.
God damn, the music slaps! Like in the
so good.
Of course, we won't spoil, but all of the champions all have basically a revitalized version of their theme that is more battle-like, and they're so good. Yeah. They're so good, man.
They are really good. I mean, Mipha's is great. There's, of course, I'm not going to say any specifics, but there's a particular song that plays in the Rivali mission, which that has probably been my favourite moment in the game. I just, the moments in games where you just have that dumb grin on your face and it's really hype.
I was gonna say, I know the exact scene and the exact cut scene you're talking about.
You know it, yeah.
It's
amazing.
It's amazing choreography and everything. It's amazing, yeah.
Yeah, there's just so much great stuff there, and it's interesting. Because we were talking about it, I actually went back and watched our video talking about the announcement of the game, and how I noticed in that they were going for more traditional sort of Zelda music, amped up of course, but more Breath of the Wild style compared to the rock of traditional Warriors games, and it really works because it feels like natural Breath of the Wild music that we didn't get in the main game because it was ambient, but with that massive kick up to make you pumped for battle, and even the new pieces as well. Yeah, the original pieces that we hear.
Yeah, I don't know how the Warriors creators did it so well where they were able to make a Warriors game feel so Breath of the Wild. It's
straight
so
down
good.
to the UI, the gameplay mechanics, being able to shoot explosive barrels of Link's bow and arrow to explode an enemy fortress or something.
Yeah,
it's all these mechanics that come right out of the game, and I was even surprised actually. With Link's bow and arrow, you can get a headshot on an enemy and stun it, which I didn't know. But I just figured it out in gameplay, and it's this is so cool. You can fight enemies, the more Warriors way, going ham with the runes and stuff. But there are also various ways you can fight it more like a traditional Zelda fight, with the Flurry Rush, with the shield, parry, which I've just got the hang of.
I used a lot of Flurry Rush in Breath of the Wild. Oh my god, I've been using it a lot here. It's amazing.
Yeah, the timing can be tough, but you can also get weapons that increase the timing for it to make it easier. And
but
the shield parry, once you get that, that feels great.
The shield parry's there as well, and I guess for both of those things, it kind of stands where that's another thing where they've managed to make it so similar to Breath of the Wild still, where the timings on things like the shield bash and the flurry rushes are the same. If you've played Breath of the Wild and you know the timings there, then you can translate them over to a completely different gameplay style, and it's crazy how well they've managed to do that.
Yeah, I found that the first time I fought a Lionel in this game, when it does that that 3-hit combo, which I'm always in the game I've nailed down in, the main Breath of the Wild, the perfect time to flurry rush that. And it just translated to fighting here. I was like, yep, I've got this, no problem, man. It's but it can get crazy when they're throwing lots at you. It can get really hectic. And sometimes, especially if you're you're playing as Mipha and water's flying everywhere, and you've got you're throwing loads of bombs at everyone. It is hectic, but it's hilarious at the same time, and it feels great.
Yeah, I mean, this is I would argue this is Sakurai levels of creativity. It's actually that good.
Yeah, it's Breath of the Wild on steroids, and it's all the better for it. It's it's I don't know. Is there anything we've missed that we know? We've talked about the music. What about the visuals? The game looks really nice actually, and
again,
I do like
very
how
faithful.
they translated the areas.
Very faithful.
Seeing all these familiar locations from the game, especially I'll admit I'm a sucker for consistency. So I actually I ended my Breath of the Wild playthrough, which I'm partway through, on the exact moment where you start the Age of Calamity campaign, just
Very
because
nice.
I thought that would tie together nicely, and it does. It was almost like you're stepping into another memory in a way of that, and it's not exact, but the way they translated things, you recognise every location instantly if you play the game.
Yeah, it's clear like how much detail they put into it.
Yeah, and I don't want to spoil locations you see later, but it's always really cool when you unlock a new level and it's like, oh, we're going to see this location from the Breath of the Wild.
Yeah,
and
like how's this going to work?
100 years ago. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, and the way they've incorporated some of those locations, I can't say anything more, but it is really, really cool to see, and
Yeah.
I just want to keep playing. I want to end this video now so I can get back to playing Age of Calamity. It's
Straight up, exactly the same.
It's really great time, and I should mention, yes, there is some things where like the frame rate is a bit low at times.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter that much. I know.
I can speak on that though.
To some people.
I've been playing most of the game 2-player, where it's split screen.
Right.
I really enjoy the fact it's split screen. It's really fun to sort of sort out like who's going where, and I'm so grateful they added split screen for it. However, the frame rate it chugs hard at times, like very hard. But to be fair, like it's a worthy sacrifice for playing 2-player. So it's worth it.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, I haven't got to play this one 2-player yet, but I have played past Warriors games, and it's always the same thing. You go down to 2-player, the lag's going to kick in even more. But this is a game, or not lag even, but the frame rate. But this is a game where it doesn't matter too much if it does happen. You don't need exact precision movement most of the time. It's fine. You can get
the
through
fact
it.
that the
Just
screen
spam
is
special
halved.
attacks.
Because the screen is halved, you don't exactly notice it. And it's only in certain parts of it, where you've got like a ton of enemies that have only just spawned and that sort of thing. Apart from that, it works just fine. So.
Yeah, and I should also mention I played a bit of handheld mode. Obviously, this is a game I want to mostly stick to my TV, but I did try it out and it runs pretty well. If you've got a Switch Lite or you just prefer a handheld, you're not going to have a bad time with it. It runs just as well and it looks pretty decent. So
that's good.
It's pretty consistent, and in general, it's just for something we had no idea was coming. To actually be playing this now, a new Zelda game, even if it's a spin-off, what a way to end the year. I mean,
again, it's so cool. Like the game itself is so cool.
Yeah, it's been an interesting year of gaming. There's been some slow moments, but the things that have really hit well, and this is absolutely one of those. Yeah. And maybe in the next month you might see us talk about our games of the year, perhaps.
Cool, foreshadowing. That's what we call it in the
business. Could be its own video. I think you are now ready to see what's happened this year in gaming. There we go.
Good
references in it. But have you got anything else you want to say about Age of Calamity?
No, it's just very fun. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah. And, if you're on the fence, there's a demo on the eShop. You can transfer your data over to the full game. You have to try it, Are
you telling me there's a demo out now on the eShop for free?
On the Nintendo Switch eShop with 2-player for free. But those of you who know that running joke will get it. Others will be confused, but just run with it.
The message will be heard.
Spread the word. The holy gospel of Age of Calamity. But I think that probably, before we just ramble on going, it's so cool for about an hour, I think we should end it there.
It's so cool.
It really is. But that has been our discussion for this last month of gaming. So, of course, a big thank you to all of you guys watching along with us. And a big thank you to you, Kai, for talking with me. Would
Yeah,
you
no
like to
worries.
plug anywhere in particular?
Well, again, I'm not streaming still, but go check out Be More Duck. He played annoying Goose game. Whatever Untitled Goose game. It's the same thing. Okay.
Annoying Goose game.
Go
That's the
check him
official
out on
title.
Twitch instead. He plays some fun stuff
Absolutely.
sometimes.
Yeah, I'll put a link to that in the description below. You can find Kai and I ourselves in the chat there most time as well. We do things like Among Us. He's been playing Portal 2 with our friend James, so lots of fun to be had there. And
Absolutely.
you know, of course, a massive thanks to our friend Sam, who is our thumbnail guy, helps out behind the scenes with the graphics and a lot of stuff. And you might even be able to hear his golden Australian voice in the video soon. So that's something worth looking out for. But and of course, you know, you can find this podcast in the exact same place. We post regular videos. We'll have some extra ones coming out this month. And we're also on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever you find podcasts, under the name BunchaJokahs. Yeah, we've lots of good things ahead. So thank you so much for watching, guys. And we will see you in the next time. Goodbye.
Bye.